Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
So I love this time of year. I feel like it's very sacred. I enjoy sometimes the days seem shorter and there's more time for reflection and kind of introspection and the light that comes in the darkness. And one thing I really enjoy about this time of year is the decorations. I like how our sanctuary is beautified, going into different shops and restaurants and seeing their Christmas trees. And I like walking in my neighborhood and there's different light displays and people put out little wooden cutouts and inflatables and just all these things people do to decorate. And part of the reason I like that so much is because I'm just not really good at decorating. It's just one thing. Now, I've got some skills, I've got some talents, but decorating it's not one of them. And I mean, you could give me a $10,000 gift certificate to one of these craft stores and ask me to make centerpieces. I'd wander around and I'd probably just buy rocks. There would just be, like every table would just have a pile of rocks in the middle. So, and there's people in our community that are so talented and gifted with this. Stephanie Foy, she'll get some glass vases and put beans, like dried beans and like things coming out of them. And it's just, it boggles my mind because I just don't think that way. So we have a variety of experiences in life, and that's good. Variety is the spice of life. And we have different moods, we have different talents, we have different skills. We also have different ways that we experience the holidays. So we acknowledge that for some people, the holiday time can be a bit of a struggle. It can be a reminder of some kind of loss or grief, either from the past or maybe facing into holidays for the first time this year, experiencing some kind of big challenge or struggle or suffering. And so we like to acknowledge the fullness of the human experience here. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, I came to church today to be uplifted. I have so much joy. I just want to celebrate. Well, we have a special role for you today. And that is allow that joy and that enthusiasm and that love to bubble up inside of you and just well out and share it with your neighbors and share it with this community because we need that. And there's a show that I used to watch on television. They don't do it all the time, but it was called the Eco Challenge or the Echo Challenge. It's an expedition race. So it's called the World's Toughest Race. And they have to navigate through the jungle. They're paddling, they're rappelling, they're climbing things. It's just really, really grueling days, they barely sleep. And so they do a whole documentary about it and they interview people along the way. And there's one particular interview I remember, they were talking to this lady in the middle of the race and she said, sometimes you're out there in the front, you're breaking the trail for your team, you've got energy, you're out there leading the way. And then sometimes you're in the back, you're just barely putting one foot in front of the other. Sometimes they tie a rope to the teammate and just pull them along. Yeah. And life is like that, right? I mean, sometimes we have extra to give and everything is working for us and we're aligned and we're dynamic and we're enthusiastic. We're getting up early in the morning. We're greeting the day with energy and we just can't wait for the next moment. And then sometimes it's an accomplishment to get out of bed. It's just an accomplishment to get out of the bed and put your feet on the floor. So we acknowledge this fullness of the human experience. And today is called a compassionate Christmas. So I have an operational distinction of compassion. And an operational distinction is like a definition, except it acknowledges that instead of living in a world of things, we live in a world of action and relationship. This life is about actions and relationships. It's about activities. So compassion is the desire and the ability to generate another person's conversations and distinctions without losing your identity. And this sounds technical and sciencey, and that's why I like it. So, the desire and the ability to generate another person's conversations and distinctions without losing your identity. So, how to be compassionate, be aware of, and care about other people's concerns from their point of view. And then be able to articulate those concerns from that point of view, from the other person's point of view. Be able to articulate those concerns in language. As human beings, we manifest in language. God said, let there be light, and there was light. We manifest, we bring forth, we emerge, we reveal through language. And by language, I don't just mean words, and I certainly don't mean nonsense. By language, we mean action that coordinates action. Any action that coordinates other action, which can be nonverbal. We communicate a lot through gestures and body language and energy and all kinds of ways we communicate. So acting with compassion involves releasing tension and friction and any kind of fear, anything that's heavy, any kind of resistance. So to be compassionate and to be effective in this world, it's good to be as clear as possible, to be as pure as possible. And that means releasing those obstacles, breaking up those boulders, and letting that go. In other words, completing conversations about why I'm a victim, or why things don't go my way, or all of these stories that we tell ourselves from our past and our current experiences. So also, being compassionate involves moving from apathy and inertia into active awareness. So we want to be actively aware, actively engaged with what is going on in the world, what is going on with our lives, with lives of our family, our friends, our community. So instead of being apathetic or having inertia, getting engaged, to be present. So compassion requires operating from being. Compassion requires operating from being. What do I mean by that? What is being? Being is that joy of existence. It's that awareness of oneness. It is that delight in that inner knowing. It is your alignment with your divine source. So that's what we mean by being. So to be compassionate, we have to be aligned with, tapped into, revealing, allowing being to emerge through us as us. Unfortunately, the ego doesn't know about being. The ego is concerned with the personal, with what we can interpret through our human senses. What can I see, taste, smell, hear? And we need that personal experience because we're human beings. We need to interact with the world. But from the ego, it's not really possible to be authentically compassionate. Again, ego's concerned with itself. So how to be effective in life? One, listen to conscience. And this is something that I'm always trying to do more of, do better. Listen to conscience. Know that voice of conscience. Be able to distinguish that from other noise or, ego thoughts. But be able to know what is true and honest, what is right, what is really calling forth. Learn from friction and release it. Obstacles are important because it's a primary way we learn. We learn by confronting, overcoming, looking at, figuring out why am I triggered? Why are these feelings coming up? Why am I in this mood? What is this reminding me of? What can I forgive? What can I release? What conversations can I complete so that I return to harmony and balance, so that I'm not triggered by those anymore? And realize that we all share the same essence. We are all human, and we are all divine. And we don't want to degrade or discount our human experience. We want to embrace this humanity that we have. Like Dr. Bruce Lipton said, he was doing a lot of research, and he was working with stem cells, I think, back in the 70s. And he had this thought, well, why do I need this human body? And the answer that came to him is, so I know what chocolate tastes like. So we need to interact with this world because here we are. We are in this universe as human beings. But we all share this essence. We are all having this experience of being human and being divine. So acknowledge that everyone is on their own pathway, and that pathway is the right path for them. Now, I know for me, I like to fix things. I like to get in there and fix it. And listening to conscience is what tells me this is my time to speak. This is my time to be silent. This is my time to just be a witness. Or this is my time to ask somebody, do you want a hint, a book to read, a video to listen to? Do they want input, or are they on their pathway doing their thing, and the best thing you can do is just pray, just meditate, just hold them in your hearts with joy and love. So we're all on a pathway, and we're not necessarily called to fix other people. So what we want to do is get in harmony, find out what is ours to do, align actions and speaking, and then what we say and what we do will be on target. It will be on the mark. We will hit the mark. When we're aligned, when we are listening to conscience, when we are experiencing that harmony and balance, when we're operating from being, then we've got the right words at the right time. And again, sometimes the right thing to do is just hold someone's hand and just be there with them and for them. So I want to talk about the difference between empathy and compassion. Now, I know there's some people out there very empathetic, and you really tap into other people's moods, and you feel those moods as your own moods. And that's beautiful that you understand what people are going through. The difference between empathy and compassion is that with compassion, you can be a presence, you can be a witness without losing your identity, without changing your mood. And I actually learned this from Cindy Wigglesworth, who is an amazing person in our community. She's actually chair of our board now, but I'm going to say she's world-renowned for how she's devoted her career, a book called SQ21, 21 Skills of Spiritual Intelligence. So she is the leading expert on spiritual intelligence. And so I took a class from her, and she was talking about a study where they actually, hook up brain waves and heart monitors, and they can see what's going on physically in the body. So with empathy, the brain waves and the heart monitors and all of those, they match exactly what the other person's going through, so they look identical. But with compassion, you can understand what somebody's thinking and feeling. You can witness their mood. You can feel to the depths, the core of your being, understand what they're going through. You can articulate their conversations. You can generate their conversations. But your brainwaves, your heart monitor doesn't change. It doesn't become what the other person's is. And they did this with monks, gurus, people, very advanced meditators. So while it's beautiful to be empathetic, you know that can also sometimes be exhausting. And you can also kind of take on what other people are feeling. So the invitation is to practice this compassion where, yes, we know, we understand, we witness, we see you, we hear you, we feel you, but yet we're going to maintain our balance. We're going to maintain our center. We're going to maintain our harmony and our presence and not be blown off course by what's going on. So we're going to witness our shared humanity and our shared divinity. We're going to get into alignment and see what actions we are called to take. Sometimes, again, we're called to open the checkbook. Sometimes we're called to show up. Sometimes we're called to volunteer. And sometimes we're called to take the action of prayer, of meditation, of focus, of concentration. There's just a wide variety of things that we could be called to do. So I love this ceremony that we do here, that it's called the Blue Christmas. This was brought to us originally by Reverend Michael when he was doing the Wednesday Night Live in the pyramid. I just always thought it was so sacred and so beautiful that we take this time to acknowledge that holidays are not a happy time for everybody, and we're okay with that. We're going to walk with you no matter where you are and what you're experiencing. So the reasons why we do ceremonies and rituals, they focus our attention. They help us acknowledge transitions. Rituals and ceremonies are very important in humanity and in culture in general because this is what we do as people. We gather around campfires. We do rituals that acknowledge what people are going to. So we focus our energy, we focus our attention, we focus our love and our compassion on the moment and witness what people are going through. So to lead into this ceremony, we have some text from Khalil Gibran. It's called On Joy and Sorrow. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. How else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothed your spirit the very wood that was hollowed by knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall.
So,
this is Stacy, our ministerial.
So as Rev Shirley moves forward to light the Christ candle, we will begin what we call our Blue Christmas ceremony. And one of the things that I love that Rev Shirley talked about was the idea that compassion is an action. And one of the most powerful activities of compassion that we can do for one another in community is to witness one another. And one of the most powerful forms of support we can receive in spiritual community is to be witnessed. And so we're going to invite all of you to be a part of this Blue Christmas ritual. And here's what it's going to look like. We're going to talk about some of the challenges, some of the things that makes this time of year especially difficult for some of us. And if one of these represents something that you're experiencing this year, we invite you to come forward and let yourself be seen by us, by your spiritual family. And if you are online and this represents you, just simply in the chat, type, "This is me." And now for the part of us that wants to hold space, if you're not one of these people that needs to come forward for that particular thing, you simply hold the space, send love, and we're going to say, "We see you and we hold you in our hearts." So we'll cue you. So one of the first things that we want to talk about, we want to light our first candle for the loss of a loved one this year. This can be very difficult in the times of the holidays. People are gathering and returning home. This can feel especially poignant. So now at this time, we'd like to invite you forward. If this is you, if you have lost someone that you have loved this year, and you want your community to hold space for you and to see you, please come forward. Sheila, would you be willing to light the candle for this one? Thank you, my dear. Come forward. And those of us in our seats, please just hold this prayerful space in love. Come forward, come forward. Forward. Yes. Just the one thing. So knowing that loss is a part of life, it doesn't take away the pain. We still honor our pain. We honor our grief. And so for those of us in the community, we say, we see you, we hold you in our hearts. Thank you, dear ones. Return to your seat now. Thank you. Thank you. You can go back to your seats. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. So the next candle we light is in honor of those of us who have lost a relationship this year. The person may be still with us physically, but we're feeling an estrangement. There's someone that we have felt connected to before, and somehow we just cannot connect right now. But they're still in our hearts, and that creates a longing. So if this is you, please come forward and allow your spiritual community to witness you, and allow yourself to feel the love and to be seen. So Carol's going to light the candle from the Christ candle into our candle of those who have feel lost of a relationship. Thank you, Carol. Stay up here just a minute. So for all of these beloveds, we hold you in our hearts, and let us say together, we see you and we hold you in our hearts. Thank you, each one of you, for letting yourselves be seen. Thank you. And so for our third candle, we light this candle in honor of anyone who is experiencing a physical challenge, physical health challenge, or someone that you love and hold dearly is going through a physical health challenge right at this time. And so right now I invite you to come forward. If this is you, let yourself be seen, and so that we may hold you in our hearts. Hello, dear, would you light the candle for us? Light from the Christ candle and then light the candle. Thank you. Hello, dear. So thank you all for letting yourselves be seen and receiving this love from your community. And so as a community, we say, we see you, we hold you in our hearts. Thank you so much, beloved ones. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And so for our fourth candle, we light in honor of any of us who are experiencing the effects of mental health challenges, either our own or someone we love. We know this is a very difficult and very widespread issue that we haven't always had the compassion for as a humanity. And now we're beginning to understand how widespread and affected we are by this. So if this is you, someone you love is experiencing mental health challenges, or something in your life is impacted by a mental health challenge, please come forward and let yourself be seen. Hello, dear. Would you like to light a candle, Elizabeth? No? Okay, so we're going to light from the Christ candle. Can we get it, Elizabeth, you think? Okay. So this is us. We all are one. And so thank you all for letting yourselves be seen. And as a community, we send you our love and we say, we see you and we hold you in our hearts. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. And so for our fifth candle represents loneliness. Loneliness. And sometimes it doesn't exactly have a form that it takes, or maybe even not a reason that we can wrap our heads around. It's just a sense of loneliness. And it pervades the season sometimes, right? When we see so much connection, if we're experiencing that, it can become magnified. And so just know that you're not alone. So I invite at this time anyone who's experiencing a sense of loneliness during this time of year. If you notice this is amplified in your life, please come forward and let your spiritual family hold you in our hearts. Yes, thank you. Hello, dear. Would you be willing to light the candle? Light from the Christ candle. And then light the fifth one. Thank you. Thank you all for letting yourselves be seen, letting yourselves be witnessed in this way. And as a community, we say, we see you, we hold you in our hearts. Thank you for letting yourselves be seen. Thank you so much. And so just huge amounts of appreciation for each person here who is willing to let themselves be seen. Sometimes it's easy to be the seer, easier to be the seer than it is to be the one who is seen. But that's what we do in community. We support, we nurture, and empower one another. So thank you all for participating in this beautiful ceremony today.
Watching this message today, I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.